y'all, and welcome back to a new devotion, Turning Points with God by David Jeremiah. Today's devotion is found on page 110. The title of it is Fit for the Master's Use. Our scripture comes from the book of Acts, chapter 9 and verse 15, and I will be reading that from my King James Bible. And parts of it is in red, and this is Jesus speaking to us. And it says, "But the Lord said unto him, Go thy way, for he is a chosen vessel unto me, to bear my name before the Gentiles and kings and the children of Israel." It's remarkable how yesterday's household goods are now today's collector's items. Glassware and dish sets that once sold for pennies at Woolworth store now sell for hundreds or thousands of dollars in antique galleries. Glass made cheaply during the Depression era now commands a prized place in museums and private collections. The Lord isn't interested in beautiful vessels that sit in display cases to be admired. He chooses us to be vessels to bear his name. Think of yourself as a cup, a glass, or a bowl. You're a vessel in the Master's hand, bearing the water of life to a needy world. That's a biblical picture. The Apostle Paul was described as a chosen vessel. And Paul himself later said unto us, "In a greater house, there are not only vessels of gold and silver, but also of wood and clay, some for honor and some for dishonor. Therefore, if anyone cleanse himself from the latter, he will be a vessel for honor, sanctified and useful for the master, prepared for every good work." 2 Timothy chapter 2, verses 20 and 21. Don't worry if you're not beautiful enough to sit in a museum or old enough to be a fine antique. Just live faithfully and bear the water of life to a needy world. The pierced hand which gave thee healing has appointed thee to thy Lord's service and made thee a chosen vessel to bear his name. That is by Charles Haddon Spurgeon. Wow. Well, I can definitely relate to the part of it being yesterday's treasure. Yesterday's household goods are now treasures and collectibles, because if you follow me on my other channel, you know I'm all about vintage and antique pieces. I love them. I don't care how beat up and battered and rusty and crusty they are. To me, that just adds to their appeal. And sometimes I have thought about that and how the Lord looks at us. And then this morning, coincidentally, which we know there's no coincidence with the Lord, I was scrolling through Instagram and came across a preacher talking about how the Lord doesn't work on the outside to get it looking right and then choose to work on the inside. And I'm paraphrasing, of course. And he was talking about how, he's not going to get the stripper off the pole first and then work on the inside. The druggie is not going to get off the drugs first, clean up his act, and then the Lord start working on the inside. Basically, what he was saying is the Lord is going to work. You're not going to see a change in people right away, okay, on the outward, because God will work on that inward man first. And when he gets all that inside cleaned up, then you're going to start seeing it reflected on the outside. And I am a prime example of this. When the Lord began a work in me, people didn't understand the changes that were going on, because I still looked the same. I still hung out with some of the same people. I still went to some of the same places. I still did some of the same things. I still talked some of the ways I did before. But that all gradually changed. And I believe, in my experience alone, I can only speak for myself, the Lord does it at such a gradual pace, because if he would have came in there and just bam, did it all, it would have been like a shock to me and everyone around me, and it just would not have worked out. It's just like when you're training your your babies, when you're training them and you're getting them off the milk or off the formula, then you get them to the milk, and then you get them to the baby foods, and then you start getting a little bit more textured food, and then the soft table food. And it's a gradual thing, because if we did it just boom straight away, it would shock their little system. It would cause more damage than good, and we'd have a whole new problem. Same thing in our walk with God. He works on that inward man gradually, and when he does it, things begin to change. And you don't have to have anybody telling you, you don't need to go there, you don't need to watch that, you don't need to talk like that, you don't need to sing that song, you don't need to hang out in those places. The Lord will begin to work on you, and he will begin to convict you. This plays into our last devotion. We start hearing his voice, that still small voice saying, Donna, you need to turn that song on the radio. You don't need to listen to that. And there may not be anything wrong with that song for somebody else, but it may do something to me. It might not be a song that has profanity or sexual, what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, you get it. It might be so innocent, but that particular song may have an effect on me that will cause me harm. That's why the Bible tells us we have to seek out our own soul salvation with fear and trembling, because what might hinder me and cause me to go backwards might not be anything to you. It might not affect you in any way. That's why we're all individuals, and we all have our own convictions. I hang out with a person that has their convictions about certain things, and I understand it, and they don't have to explain it to me, and I don't try to pressure them. They told me one time, okay, and that's just the way it is. I accept that. It doesn't make sense to me because it does not affect me personally, but that's their conviction. So you know what? I'm going to do everything I can to help that person not feel weird, not feel guilty, not anything. I'm going to understand, hey, you got yours. I'm probably going to share some that I have that you're not going to understand, that's not going to faze you, and that's okay. We're individuals. It does not change the relationship. It does help me to not be a tool that the devil can use and kind of pressure that person. You know what I mean? But when God begins to work on us and he gets inside of us and he starts cleaning up that nasty gunk that's been in there, in my case, for years, it takes a while, but then it will start to reflect on the outside, and people will start to see a change in you, and you will lose friends that you thought were your friends. You will not go to places you once could go to and feel fine about. You will not do some things that you once did that didn't bother you. But that is just you are maturing and growing in the Lord. And it is such a personal thing. I cannot stress that enough. It is such a personal thing. And when you grow up the way I was raised, that takes a lot of undoing to how I was raised to get to this point. Because I was raised in a religion, okay? A religion that you had to look the same, act the same, think the same, do the same, be the same. They did not give God time to work on you and to make you what he wanted you to be. They didn't practice relationship. They practiced religion. And that's why I have a strong distaste for religion in my mouth, because of how I was raised. And it took a lot of undoing. And I did a lot of bad, stupid, crazy things that had I known better, I might not have. But then again, the type of person I am, it might have took that, because I'm a little bit hard-headed. And let me just stress, because I've had this brought up a couple times, and I want to stress, I don't share my past and how bad I was and this and that as I'm not forgiven. I don't want any of that to go to waste. And I share that because I am a living example that if God can take me from out of what he took me out of and put me here today, there is nothing God can't do. It is to give him glory and praise. It is not to make myself feel bad or shameful or anything like that. Do I regret things in my past? Absolutely. I'm not proud of them, but I don't want any of that to go to waste. And if God can use that to reach others, and he can use my big old mouth and my willingness to share, then, you know, that's what I want to do, because I am living proof of what God can do. And he's not even finished with me yet. He's still continually working on me. There's still changes that I am going through, and there's still things that once was okay that I can't now. You know, it's not a one and done. You know, it's a continual process as you grow in the Lord. Just like as we grow as children, you're going to grow out of those shoes. You got to get a larger size. You know, same thing in the Lord. When you grow in the Lord, you're going to change, and he's going to keep cleaning you up. He's going to keep cleaning you up and making you a vessel of honor. And that's what I want. I want to be that vessel of honor that he showed my mama so many years ago. He told her, and she always held on to it, no matter what it looked like I was getting into, no matter what my lifestyle looked like. She just kept saying, Lord, she's going to be a vessel of honor. She's going to be a vessel of honor. And that's what I want to be, is a vessel of honor. I want to make him proud. And the only way I can be that true vessel of honor is to keep a prayer life, keep praying, keep changing, keep listening, obeying, staying in my word, being conscious of things that I do and say. And yeah, I'm continually growing, as I'm sure you are too, because, you know, we're never fully made it until we've made it, right? Wow. I love you. I pray this has blessed you. As always, I pray it has made sense. I prayed before I got in here. I was getting dressed, and I just felt the Spirit of the Lord so strongly. And so I began praying about things, you know, and situations, and praying for my family and this and that. And I was praying that the Lord would put the right devotion in front of me. Give me the words. Help me to bring it across as he wants it brought across. You know, his glory, nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with me. It's all about him. So I pray that you have felt his presence. I pray that you are blessed. I love you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, y'all.